video, we're going to talk about how to use SAS with Grunt. So there's a very nice article which is there from danyaraskia.com, getting started with Grunt and SAS. So you can go through this article. However, I have gone ahead and made it simplified for you. So we'll go through it step by step, okay? And I'll show you how to use SAS with Grunt, okay? So basically, the first thing you need is Ruby on your computer. So in case if you're having Mac, then you already have Ruby installed on that, so you don't need to worry about that. However, if you don't, then you can always install it. This tutorial is specifically for Mac. Okay, so you can always check. So you can see that we already have the Ruby installed using ruby-v command. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is install SAS. So you will do that with this command. You will go into your home directory on the terminal using command line, and then you will go ahead and use this code, which is sudo gem install SAS. The reason why I'm using sudo is because just in case if you don't have the permissions to install the SAS inside of the Ruby, that is the reason why I'm using sudo. Okay, so you run this command, and then the SAS will be installed using gem. Okay, I already have SAS, so I'm not installing that. And then you also need homebrew. Okay, so you can use this command basically to install the homebrew. Okay, and let's see. Next, you can install Node.js. Okay, so you can do brew install Node.js in order for you to install the brew. Okay, brew install node. All right, and then so let me just check 1 second. Yeah, so once you have the homebrew installed, you can install the Node.js using brew install node, and then you can install the grunt commands globally using npm install grunt. Okay, so you can go ahead and paste this command on the command line, and you can install the grunt. Okay, CLI. Once that is done, you need to create a package.json file, okay, into your local directory. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm gonna go into my project, which is under Valley. My project, I've kept the name as test sauce. Okay, I'm into my project, so all I have to do is create the file, which is package.json file. So I'm going to go ahead and create that. So touch. Okay, so I've got that file created, and if I go on to my text editor, you can use your own text editor, whichever you like. I've got my package.json file. All I have to do is just paste this code over here. Okay, so basically this is the name of the package. Okay, and then the version number, description, license, and then these are the plugins that it is going to install. So these are the plugins these are the dependencies basically that your project would need. So you have grunt contrib sauce, grunt post css, auto prefixer, contrib css min, contrib uglify, contrib watch. Okay, so all of this you can get this code over here on the same link right here. Okay, under creating package.json in local directory. Okay, once that is done, then you can install grunt locally, okay, using npm install grunt --save-dev. Okay, so what this is going to do is going to install grunt locally in your project, and save dev means that it'll save the grunt package as one of the dependencies in the package.json file. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the command line, and I'm going to into my project directory, and I'm going to use this. Okay, so it is installing that. Okay, so it's added 39 packages, and if you go on to your project, you can see that it has created the package lock.json file. Okay, and it has also created a folder called node module, which has got all the file that it needs. Okay, now you're going to run the npm install. So the node module folder basically contains the grunt and all the grunt plugins. So you're going to run npm install. Go ahead and do that. And once that is done, you need to create a grunt.js file in the root directory of your project. And this grunt.js file is basically going to contain all the commands that you need to run. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's created. As you can see, we've got a grunt file.js file created, and then all you have to do is paste the below code, these codes, into the grunt.js file. So basically this is your function to load grunt. Then you have the grunt init config function, where you will have all the tasks that you'll add. We're going to add the task later, hence I've kept this blank. And then you have all the plugins that you're going to load. So all the plugins that are defined, like grunt config sauce, which is in the package.json, this one. Then you have the post css, contrib css min, post css, contrib css min. All of these dependencies that we have are going to be loaded at this point. Okay, and then we're going to register the task. Okay, so let's continue further. Then you need to create your project files. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create 3 directories inside of my project, which is source, js, and source. So let's clear this. So mkdir command with these 3 names is going to create these 3 directories. Let's create that. And as we can see, we've got the js, source, and source folders created. And then you need to create these files, which is index.php, underscore base.scss, where you're going to write all the css. And then you have the style.scss, where you're going to include all the required files. And then you have the script.js under the source folder, and these 2 are under the Sass folder. So it's going to get created using this command. And if you go back and check, sure enough, we've got our base_base.scss files, and then we have got our script.js file inside source. Okay, and then I've got my index.php as well. Okay, so all of these files have been created for our project. Next, what we need to do is we need to write the below code into our source style.css, in fact, under base.scss. So if we go to source base.scss, so this is basically, we can declare these variables using the $, and then we can use that into our source files. Okay, so this is variable equal to 2m font color equal to this hex value, and then content width is equal to this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is go on to our style.scss, and we're going to include this file. Okay, so this all will be clear to you in a moment, so just be with me, follow along. You can always pause the video and copy these codes, or you can just go directly onto this link and you'll be able to see that all of these codes that we mentioned is all right here. Okay, you can see all the grunt file codes, and then you have the variables, and then this code for style.scss. So basically over here what we're doing is we are including this base SCSS file, okay, over here using @import command, and then all the files that you create over here, uh, you can create separate files. For example, for header it'll be underscore header.scss, for footer it'll be underscore footer.scss. Okay, and all of those files you can include over here. So if you, for example, if you had created underscore header.scss, then you can just import it as well over here. You can just use import and then just name of that file. In case if the name of the file is underscore header.scss, you'll just put header over there without the underscore, and that file will be included. Okay. So whenever we're going to whenever the source is compiled into the main style.css file, this is the file that's going to be used to compile. Hence all the codes needs to be included in this file. Okay, this is your main file, and then you have the other files like underscore base.scss, underscore header.scss. All of those files we can include in this main file of source. Okay, so over here we have the main. So before I explain to you this, let's go ahead and include our index.php codes as well. So you go on to the index.php and you want to copy this code. Okay, so all right, so in the index.php file we have included these codes. So basically we have the main section where we have the h1 tag start grunt, and then p tag with hello world text on it. Then we have button press me. Okay, then we've included this script which is jQuery min.js from this site. We can also include the file as well, but I'm just uh, you know getting the reference from this particular link. Okay, and then you have the source of the JavaScript, which is script.min.js. So whenever the grunt file is processed, then the JavaScript file is going to be converted into the minified JavaScript file. Okay, and over here we have linked to style.min.css. So whenever the grunt file converts the styles from Sass into style.css, it will also convert it into style.min.css. You will get to know about all of this just for the reference now. Okay, so what next? Now we need to set up the tasks in the grunt file.js. So remember that in the grunt file.js we had left this part blank because this is the place where we're going to load all the tasks. We're going to run all the tasks. Okay, so what you can do is if you scroll down over here, you can see these are the tasks you need to run. The first task you need to run is the source. Okay, and sources basically will be the source file location for the development. So this is my source file. Okay, and I think before that just wanted to say that in source folder we have script.js, in which I have included these set of codes, which is your JavaScript files. So let's paste that as well. Okay, so going back on to setting up the gruntfile.js. So in gruntfile.js all we have to do is paste these set of codes. So we have to paste source, then post css, css min, uglify.js, and then watch. Okay, so I'm going to paste all of them together. So after pasting everything, this is how the file looks like. So the only change we have made over here, we've included these tasks into the init config function. This source basically, it's a begin source, begin source plugin. Okay, over here you need to mention the current working directory, which means this is going to convert the style.css into the readable, the browser readable style.css file. Okay, so this is the current working directory, which means going to take all the files from here. That's why the source is with the star. So all the files ending with an extension, with an extension SCSS, going to take all those files and you're going to convert that into style.css, which will be into the main directory, main root of the directory uh, of your project. Okay, then you have the post CSS, okay, which is begin post CSS plugin. All right, and then all of this is going on over here, and then source is style.css. Okay, and then you have the CSS min, is going to minify the style.css, which is converted by the source task. Okay, so the source task converts this style.css into a single style.css file, which will be over here into this directory, and CSS min is going to convert the style.css file into a minified style.min.css. Okay, a current working directory we are taking as the dot means current, which means when the style.css file gets created, that will be available in the main directory of which is the root directory of your project, and that will be converted into style.min.css. Okay, which is why the destination is also the root of your project. Okay, then uglify basically is going to minify the uh, JavaScript file. So we have this script.js file. It's going to minify the JavaScript file and convert it into script.min.js. Okay, and we have included the source of that file over here. You can see, yeah. So it's going to convert this file into script.min.js and make it available in the same folder. Sorry, not in the same folder, but in the JS directory, and that's where we are linking it from. Okay, and you can see that's why we put the destination as JS folder. Source has the source folder, which is this, so it's going to pick up this all the files with the extension .js, and it's going to convert them into destination and convert them into the min.js and move into the destination folder, which is JS over here. Then watch is basically is going to process your um, SCSS file, which is your source file, into the style.css. Okay, so we are running two tasks over here to compile everything into one task with watch plugin. So it's going to convert the CSS file from all the files with .css extension from source folder. Okay, and we are running the task which is source. This is the task name. We need to mention the task name source. Then we need to mention the task name post CSS. Yep, and then we need to mention the task name CSS min into this CSS task. Okay, and then we're running the JS task, which is going to convert all the JS file. Okay, and it's going to uglify, means that convert into minified file. Okay, so that's what is happening over here. And then finally at grunt register task, we are going to include this main task. Okay, so all of this task, your source, post CSS, and CSS min is been linked over here in CSS, and JS is going to link in your uglify task. Okay, you can see uglify task, yeah. And then finally we are clubbing it together with one task, which is watch, which is going to take care of all the other tasks. Okay, and it's just finally we are registering that task over here, so when the script reaches, this is going to get registered. Okay, and this is going to load all the plugins. Okay, so enough of talking, let's get this in action. So you go on to your project, you can see this is the HTML content coming from the index.php, which is your start grunt h1 tag, and p tag is hello world. Yep, and then you have the press me button. Okay, but if you notice, the style has not been applied. So whatever style we have mentioned into our base.scss, yeah, that style have not been applied yet. Not base actually, but style.css. Yeah, so the style that I've applied over here have not been applied yet, and this style is nothing but your maximum width, content width, which is equal to 1200 pixels. Then you have the color, which is font color, which is coming from this variable, and so on and so forth. Okay, so this style has not been applied yet is because the grunt file has not been processed. So in order for us to process this and watch and run all these tasks, all we have to do is run the grunt command. So we run the grunt command. You can see this is watching. Okay, so this is watching, but this alone is not going to help. So you need to do something over here for this to work. So let's say we can go on to our source and we can go to style and just save it or make some changes over here. Let's say we put the color to green. Okay, and you can see that this is creating the style sheet and everything. Yeah, so first thing is that it is this file changed, which means the moment we created the change over here which is color green, okay, what happened over here is that it is registered that change because we were watching, the grunt was watching with the watch command. Yeah, with the watch task it was watching. Okay, and then what this did is it started running this particular task post CSS, this task, okay, which was this one, and this is the task that was being run. Okay, so it created the style sheet. So if you notice, this is the styles.css has been created, and that's what we were saying, that go ahead and create this style.css over here in the current directory, and it is created in the main directory style.css. Okay, so if you notice, whatever code we had written over here, which is main, max width, margin, all of this been processed by that task into the style.css. You can see all of this code here. So if you notice, if you go ahead and refresh the page, one second. Right, it was not working because the link of the style sheet, I mentioned CSS folder here, so let's remove the CSS folder. It's just stylemin.css, so this one. Okay, now if you go ahead and refresh the page, you can see that the style has been applied. Okay, so what this has done is basically created that style file, style sheet, which is style.css, then the CSS min target, which is minified the CSS file. So if you go to gruntfile.css, this is the CSS min, so it's minified the style.css from the current directory, so it's in the root directory, and the destination is the same, so hence it is minified the file as well, and this is the source of this file, basically this minified file of the style.css. So this is the normal file and this is the minified file. So we're just linking the same content, but it's minified, and that's the file we are linking to our index.php style min.css. Okay, so we've got our style.css as well. Now if you check uglify build uglify, so this task is also run. Before that, this .sas cache is added, so this folder is added over here, and this folder is added so that it can perform the task faster, because it's going to cache all the settings and everything over here. Okay, so you can delete that if you need, but you can keep it if you want, but in the final project you can delete it, okay, when you're going to go for the production. All right, so this is basically what is done over here. So got the .sas cache folder added, then running the uglify build, which is basically this one. So it's going to go ahead and minify the JavaScript file. So if you go to source, so source, this is the file we're saying that go ahead and take all the file ending with extension .js and go ahead and create a minified file script.min.js into JS folder. So if you check JS folder, now we've got our minified JS file. Okay, so which means that that is the file we are including into our index.php JS script min.js. Okay, so this file has been created by this task, one file created. And now if you go ahead and refresh the page, click on it, as you can see that we've got this alert, and that's what is going on into that file. If you check script.js, it's asking us to alert it. Okay, so that's how all these tasks has been performed, and the um, style.css is converted into stylesheet.css, and then minified version of the style.css, and javascript.js is converted into a minified version of script.min.js so that it loads faster. That's why we are minifying it, and we're including all of this into our project. Okay, so anytime we go ahead and make changes, as long as this grunt command is running and this is watching all the changes that you make in your style sheet, which is style.scss, or in your script.js, all of those things are going to be registered, and all the changes will be made into your style.css, style.min.css, and script.min.js respectively. Okay, so let's go ahead and make some changes and see if that's really working. Let's change this color to red, and the moment you do that, you can see something going on over here. You can see it's gone ahead and created the style sheet, it was just style.css, into the main directory, and overridden what was there before. And if you refresh the page, sure enough, you've got the red color. Okay, similarly for JavaScript file as well, whatever changes you're going to make in the JavaScript file will be converted over here to script.min.js. So as long as this is watching, so you don't close, make sure you don't close it if you want your changes to be registered. And if you don't want this to be watching, then you can always press the Control C and this will get out of it. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I hope it was clear. One more thing I want to say to you, that so in this example, I have created the style.css into the root directory of my project. And generally, that's what you do in WordPress as well. However, if you want to go ahead and put this into a separate folder, for example, CSS folder, all you can do is create a CSS folder. Okay, so I created the CSS folder, and let's go ahead and delete all of this first, whatever the tasks have been performed. Okay, I'm gonna delete the scriptmin.js as well. Delete this cache. And on this site, the example they have shown, the only difference between the example that I have given you and they have given you is that the style sheet that they are converting is going to be, the destination is going to be the CSS folder for them, but for me it was the root directory. So I'll show you how to get your style sheet converted into this destination CSS folder. So you can just go ahead and pick up this code. And put that in your grunt file. So the only difference between this code and that code is that destination is changed. Earlier it was the current directory, now it's CSS, which is this folder. Similarly over here it was style.css earlier, but now it's going to be under, because we want the style sheet to get converted, processed, and converted into style.css, but destination folder should be CSS instead of the root directory. Similarly here as well, destination is CSS instead of the current directory, current working directory instead of the root, which is dot, it is CSS. Okay, so all of these changes have been made over here. Okay, and after that, if we go ahead and run our grunt command for grunt to watch, and if we go ahead and make any changes to our style, make it to blue, let's say, you can see that all this happened, done with errors. So let me just check what happened. Let me just check one moment. Yeah, actually there's no error. Okay, so it's done all of that. Instead of just creating the file style.css, it is actually now creating it into the CSS folder instead of creating it in the root directory. I guess you can see this is what is created, style.css and style.min.css. That's the only difference. And all we have to do now is for it to work, because earlier we had specified style.min.css, which was into a root directory, but this time it's in under the CSS folder. Hence, all we have to do is just change the path. And sure enough, if we go and refresh the page, we can see it's been changed now. Okay. So I hope that helps, and if you have any questions, you can always leave it in the comment. If you do like the video, please subscribe and share. Take care. Bye-bye.